Hey guys, this is Hawk. Welcome back to the channel and to Grounded, where I, Willow Branch, am starting on a lily pad out here in the pond next to this enormous thing, which we will talk about in a few minutes. But I'm in photo mode right now just so that we could actually get a good look at everything. I adjusted the time of day and such because it was awfully bright. Or it was awfully dark, and I wanted to brighten it up a little bit for starters because, well, it's still a little dreary out in the morning. But basically, I wanted to, first of all, preface this video saying that I actually recorded this whole thing already and was getting a ton of rubber banding in the recording due to some sort of lag I was experiencing. So I reverted back to a save and I'm replaying it all again for you guys. So unfortunately, there will be no surprises for me. There wouldn't have been too many anyway, though, to be perfectly honest, because we talked about on a recent stream that I did that there's, I'm not the only one, but there's a number of us that were had a fear of drowning. And so I looked up a bunch of things in advance because I wanted to try to make sure I had the appropriate equipment and knew where I was going because, well, I start getting panicky when my character starts running out of air. Anyways. But basically, every video you've seen up until now was recorded shortly after I purchased this game when it went out on full release. I am in no means an expert at the game now, but I've actually learned a ton about it since then. Because I actually was playing a game with my nephews and worked on grinding out resources and just doing some basic combat. We haven't gotten any further than I am, so there's no surprises in the game for me, but it made things a little easier once I started learning a bit more about the game. So first things first, you will see on my hotbar, I am now carrying fiber bandages because, well, I found out that there is in fact value in fiber bandages They heal a ton. They just do it very slowly and over time. So if you're in a situation like if now, where I'm not actually directly in combat, if my health was low, I could apply a fiber bandage and it would correct the majority of my health with just one bandage. So that is one thing. I also am starting out here because there is a field station in here that I actually found when I was with my nephews, and also identified that the crow often lands here. So when I was talking previously about not being able to find too many of the crow feathers, I've actually started finding a bunch of them just because of the fact that, well, every time the crow lands, which you actually can hear quite often, you can actually come over here and you will actually find crow feathers in the water. I failed fabulously there on getting up onto this twig. There we go. All right, so let's head on up here. I don't know if there's any feathers out there now. I don't think there are. But I have a number of things on me that I actually want to research. And these are things that I got. These I actually got in the last episode. These are shards of mint that came from those ice cap mints. And then a number of other things here that we will talk about. But basically, these things I found at the bottom of the pond. And I will show you those because actually my intentions for today are to actually conquer the pond lab. So I needed to start collecting things in advance. So I needed sunken bones. These just happen to be there, the koi fish scales. These eelgrass strands, I actually wanted to show those to you when I was down here. Eelgrass strands, they're also in the pond, and I was actually started right next to one, and I was going to actually show it to you before I meandered off to the field station, completely forgot about it. But I wanted to show you where I got these resources, so if it helps you in your playthrough, but this is eelgrass right here. It is a tall, kind of weedy looking thing, and it has little black specks on it, and you have to actually cut it down with well, if you're in the water, you actually have to use I actually got some. You actually have to use the dagger, which is something I actually talked about in the one episode. I couldn't understand why it was for the berries that in one instance they required the dagger, and in one instance they required the axe. It was because you cannot use an axe in the water. There's some tools you cannot use in the water, and the axe is one of them. So I did, in fact, I have, of course, the pebblet dagger. That's what I used to collect the eelgrass. I have no idea what just happened to it. All right, so here we discovered the field station. Sounds like there's a bee. I don't know, I hear something. Anyways, the crow kind of lands over here on this side of this thing. And so oftentimes I will find crow feathers right there or even out as far as that log. And basically in the one episode, I was trying to get a crow feather and it said that I couldn't use the dagger because I needed a level 2. The simple way around that is to jump into the feather and use it like a boat, and then you can actually use the axe to chop it from above. So anyways, I've also got a couple crow feathers that I'd like to analyze. I got these from the water boatmen, which are some of the non-hostile mobs that are in the pond. The diving bell spiders, they are definitely hostile. They are in the pond as well. I got these mushroom chunks. They're from the really big mushrooms that have to be chopped down with a tier 2 axe. And I also got attacked by a mosquito when I went back down to the hedgerow to get more berries for berry leather. And I killed him, and I got both a blood sac and a mosquito beak. So these are all things that need to be analyzed, but I wanted to, of course, discover this station. The important things we need to research right now, we need to research sunken bones, which allow us to make a bone dagger and a bone trident. But basically, I wanted to analyze them because I'm going to be using all 5 of those. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And the eelgrass, I'll be using a bunch of that as well. And what else do I want to... maybe the boatman fins. Fluid flippers. Another drink. Huh. I don't know if I remember that or not. But there are a couple of things here. First of all, there's some science up here. There's also some science. There's also some science right out here that I missed. Try again.
This is a lot easier than lab.
All right, I think we should be able to get this, I think this way. There we go. All right, I believe we've collected everything out here now. All right, so some other things that I wanted to talk about. I talked already about that fiber bandages are not completely useless. They are easier to take along with you because they stack as compared to all of the meats, which are obviously individually stacked. So what I did, because I was going to be making use of more fiber bandages, and because in that one episode, I got attacked by a bunch of orb weaver spiders that attacked my base and also attacked my sap catchers, I moved them out in the middle of the pond because the spiders can't come out here. And there's these logs that were sticking out that allowed me to put these on here. So I made platforms out here, and I made a bunch of these sap catchers so that these things are safe from the attacks. I believe that unless I get attacked by something from the air, these should probably be good. I have noticed that there is a lack of physics with some of the things in the game, so I think this was the only platform that actually attached to this lily pad, and all the rest of them are attached to this one. And same thing over here. You can see this end's actually not attached. It's this one that is. But I made some little platforms all the way out here, and we'll talk about a lack of physics here in even more detail when you see the next thing that I built. Okay, so you can see here's the next thing that I built. I built a set of stairs up to this one fence post, and then up here, whoops, and if you don't fail and miss the fence post because you're out of stamina, here's another set of stairs, and then this is where the lack of physics comes in, is that apparently the roof pieces do not require support other than, like, one piece. Like, when I built those stairs at the bottom, I had to put a foundation underneath the second set of stairs. That was not the case with the roof pieces. I just built them all the way up here, and the reason I wanted to build these is because in the evening, this light comes on, and the gnats, they circle around here. So this is a great way to harvest meat and gnat fuzz from gnats. And then, of course, the gnat meat can actually be hung on the drying rack to create the gnat jerky, which is used in the recipe in the oven for nachos, I believe it is. And then the other reason I wanted to come up here is because there is science on this post that was to the left. So I just needed to get up here in order to be able to get to the light and also the raw science that I found up there. Okay, so basically what I've done since last time is I did a lot of grinding off camera. I completed a couple of my BURG.L quests. They just popped in, so I thought I'd mention that. I finished the palisades that were kind of outstanding at the end of the last episode. I got the rest of the rope. I additionally put some more palisades here. It looks a little weird, but I was finding that like weevils and red ants, they were walking out around the last ones and going inside. So I did these little wings at the end of both of these things. Oh, all of these pallets are full. And you can see over here, there's another, like I said, there's another like wing out here. And I've got a whole bunch of weed stems here. Basically, since all of my pallets are full, as the closest weed stems, as they grow back in, I've been chopping them down and I've been turning them into just tons and tons of plant fiber. Because, of course, the plant fiber is used in the fiber bandages, but of course it's also used in the rope. So let's talk about some of the things that I did in here since the last episode. So first of all, I just put in a shelf right over here that has an entire container for plant fiber, an entire container for rope, which I'm currently working on. And you can see that basically I'm using all of these weed stems and I'm turning them into just tons and tons of plant fiber. I apparently was one short there. And then do I not have room in my inventory? Oh, I totally don't. Okay, that I was gonna say, I can't figure out why it's not picking that up. And then, of course, I'm turning it all into crude rope. So I just have tons and tons of rope, and I've got tons and tons of plant fiber. And over here, I additionally put some shelving on the wall, and I started splitting out. So this is an entirely, I just call this grasses now. It has basically the items in that I need to make the green machine smoothies. So the clover, the algae, and the sprigs. Just used a bunch of sprigs recently because I finished putting lights up all over the place, including upstairs, because it was very dark up there. And then my bug parts chest is nearly full. I'm probably going to have to expand pretty soon, but that's fine because this chest is open. It is what used to contain all of the plant fiber and rope, which has since moved. This is an entire container for sap, because I'm getting a lot of that now that I've got 6 sap catchers, and this is silk and silk rope back here. And then, of course, I've got a stone chest, which I've put some more stone in, some more clay. I've gotten some more of the brittle quartzite and marble, and I actually got some sturdy quartzite and marble. Then there's a couple pieces of brittle plating and brittle whetstone. The plant materials chest is also getting quite full, so I'm probably going to have to look at splitting some of these things out in the not-so-distant future. So this is analyzed. This is not really a plant material, but we're going to be using that momentarily. And then the boatman fin is also analyzed. We'll probably run up and do some more analysis at the Oak Lab just to get some of this done. And then this just has dandelion tufts and some other odd and end things in it right now. And then, of course, over here was my kitchen that I made, and this is just where I'm storing some things. I was disappointed to find out I cannot make the human food smoothie because I have cookie bit sandwiches and fresh cookie bits. So I think you need the fresh ones. You need fresh cookie bits, you need fresh Billy Hog bites, and you need fresh apple bits. And all I have are regular apple bits. So I think for the most part, that's everything downstairs. Not much has changed upstairs. I've still got the lean-to here, plus this is for some extra tools and weapons and such. And I built 2 of these armor dummies, which they're pretty low cost. And the nice part about them is you can put an entire set of armor on there and swap it out all at once. So you can see that I was just wearing my ladybug armor. Now I'm wearing my red ant armor, swapped out just really, really quickly. And it, of course, saves on storage space as well. All right, and while I was grinding, I unlocked a few more mutations that I wanted to go over. So first of all, I unlocked Parry Master. Your impeccable timing gives you an extreme advantage when blocking attacks. And you get that. I actually got, I'm actually on level 2 of 3 of that, as a matter of fact. I got that for blocking and possibly perfect blocking, which is a concept I wanted to make sure to go over because I've never actually explained it previously. Barbarian, strong and reckless, you pride yourself in using the biggest weapons possible. Your muscular arms have no problem swinging clubs with great force and blind rage. You deal largely increased damage while raged out, but cannot time your blocks correctly, and you get that from using clubs. I also got level 2 of 3 for Grassmaster. So you can see I'm level 2 of 3, and also 2 of 3 for Cardio Fan. So that's what we got as far as mutations.
This is probably what bottled water is.
I did get the comment recently that somebody said they would have built 2 dew collectors. It turns out it's surprisingly unnecessary. This water container is completely full, and part of the reason is because I've got this second water container out here. It's also it's completely full. It's overflowing, as a matter of fact. Anyway, so I will not probably making a second dew collector. I don't really have a need to. All right, guys, I said I was going to come over to the Hedge Lab to analyze a couple more of these things that I'm carrying around. Specifically, I would like to make sure to get the crow feather at this point, which is going to allow us to make a simple bed, a marksman's cap, a crossbow, crow crossbow, and a feather arrows. I'm also going to take the time, I think, to go ahead and get the diving bell spider chunk. I don't think that's used in any of the recipes I'm going to be crafting to go into the pond. And let's go ahead and do the mint chunks. That allow us to make mint arrows. We've leveled up, but we don't... There's nothing new that we've learned how to make. So we've got a couple more things that we're going to have to be researching over time. Alright guys, so just as a note, the crow just landed. And I think there's a feather over there. It's almost barely visible, but I thought I'd point it out because I did mention that when the crow lands here, oftentimes you'll see a feather floating down. But I did want to go over the concept of a perfect block, like I mentioned. Basically, this is something that I saw when I was editing one of my earliest videos. There was a tooltip that popped up that if you perfect block an enemy, it negates damage. It doesn't negate all effects, because I have found out that the little Orb Weaver Juniors, they will still inflict poison damage, but you will not take damage to your character. So basically what happens is if you block at the exact same time where the hit is going to hit your character, little yellow sparks will fly up from your weapon or from your shield, whatever you happen to be using, and that indicates that you've done a perfect block and your character will not take any damage. And I've gotten better about this, particularly with the Orb Weavers, not so much the Juniors. The Juniors, their movements are not as... Their movements aren't as pronounced, but so these guys, they always start by trying to get a web at you. I'm not always great about determining when they're going to do the 3-hit attacks, but you can see that they rear back, and then that was not a perfect block. I'm going to let him get back up. So that is the concept that you have to figure out with every insect. You have to figure out what their process is for attacking you. You have to know when they're actually going to hit you, and then you should be able to block at exactly the right time. Like I said, these guys, their movements are not as pronounced, so they're harder to do, I've found. I think he's stuck. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, gosh. Jeez, I didn't know you were back there. This is an extended tutorial. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, took hit damage on that one. Definitely took damage on that one. I'm trying to get better at. Like I said, I'm not perfect. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's 3 of them. It gets a little, I apologize, it got a little dark there, but,
Second to let my eyes adjust to that.
I wasn't expecting the 3rd one to come up behind me. Anyways, so that is the concept of a perfect block. So that's kind of helped me to get a lot more spider chunks and also ladybug parts for me to upgrade armor. But anyways, I'm going to prep this evening. Well, actually, there's one thing I need to show you that I need to make before we go down into the lab. So the reason that I made sure that we analyzed some of the stuff that we did is because we need to make, with the eelgrass, we need to make... So I made this gill tube to go into some of the deeper parts of the pond to be able to get things like the sunken bones and the koi scales, which I will show you where I got when we get down there. But you need the bubble helmet in order to be able to get that far. So you can see I have enough eelgrass and I have just enough sunken bones to be able to make the bubble helmet. So I think when you're actually, your character goes into the water, you have something like 15 or 30 seconds of air. When you have the gill tube, it's something like 80 seconds. And with the bubble helmet, it's something like 160 or 120. What else do I still have to analyze here? Oh, I wanted to go ahead and make the bed for this. There is... So this is one thing that I wanted to make sure to make with you guys, is that there is a true bed in this game. And you get a sleeping buff. Some sort of buff if you sleep in the bed as opposed to in a lean-to. So I wanted to try to get that made if I can. Oh, it requires weed stems, acorn shell, rope, and clay. Oh, all the rest of my weed stems disappeared. So I'll have to grab some from out here. I wasn't sure how long they would last. Okay, I have everything. Okay, there's the bed. So we should now be able to set this as a respawn point. And we can now tear this down. Get a couple resources back. And now we can sleep in a comfortable bed instead of a lean-to. All right, I think I'm going to hold off on trying to research any of these other things. Basically, the koi fish scales, they allow you to make another set of armor, and I think this just allows you to make more, like, mushroom slurry. And I think this allows you to make a healing item, and this, I think, is always... I think all of the head things are just, like, a mount of some sort. But I'm going to go ahead and put all the rest of this stuff away, and I'm going to get prepped for in the morning, where we are going to go visit the pond lab. So I will see you guys in the morning. All right, guys, you can see that I have, in fact, equipped the bubble helmet. And one of the things I neglected to mention is I did go ahead and upgrade my ladybug armor. It's actually upgraded to level 3. I did realize previously that I mentioned in one of the episodes about how it didn't look like the marble and quartzite had respawned in the anthill, the one anthill. That's because it doesn't. So you want to be very careful with what you choose to upgrade. And I did dig into this a little bit and found out that the ladybug armor is actually pretty good tier 2 armor. So I went ahead and upgraded it, and then I will be probably not upgrading too much else as far as that goes, because there's a limitation on marble and quartzite, although somebody was nice enough recently to tell me that eventually marble and quartzite becomes kind of useless because you can start making the whetstone and the plating out of bug parts. So anyways, I did not know that. So now that I have all of my food, I think I'm ready. I think I have everything. So we've equipped our bubble helmet. And I've left everything behind that's unnecessary because there are a bunch of resources down here I'm going to want to grab. First things first, I want to try to make sure their crow landed again.
Let's see what we can find.
You can see the crow feather right there, and there's one that's actually falling. So we could go grab those if we wanted to. Maybe I will do that later. But anyways, what you generally want to make sure you do is try to know where the koi fish is. It does make an awful sound that I've mentioned in a number of episodes. I could not figure out what it was like the sound was and where it was coming from. As a matter of fact, I will pause this recording right now to play a clip for you. Okay, so that sound is the sound of the koi fish, and it generally gives you a good indication for where the koi fish is. It's generally visible, but there is only one of them. I don't immediately see it right now. But anyways, so we're at a good spot right here. We're going to go straight down pretty much, and I will talk about some of the things that I would grabbed while I was down here. I already showed you where I got the eel. This is more eel grass right here. But this piping, it has breaks in it at some places, and this will refill your oxygen when the big bubbles come up. So this is what you want to be mindful of. All right, we're back to 160. I did not need to, but it was just for demonstrative purposes. All right, so what we're looking for here is we're trying to follow this, and there is a section here where it goes even deeper. So you can see this is, I want to get away from that spider. I don't want to have to deal with it. But this goes even further down than everything else, and you'll see a creepy beady eye. It's from a Tyrannosaurus Rex sunken toy. And it looks like there's science down here, as a matter of fact. Let's go grab that. If you see the Tyrannosaurus Rex, you are at the right place. That is where you want to be.
Science, as I always say.
All right, let's go ahead and get a torch out. All right, so these are the koi fish scales right here, and these you have to dig up with a hammer, or I'm sorry, with a shovel. And then they'll pop out of the ground, and same with the sunken bones. It doesn't matter if they look like they're directly on the surface, you must actually dig them. And I would like to get a couple more sunken bones, but I guess I'll just grab this scale. This primarily is only useful for armor, which I probably won't use, but, you know, it's there and I'm a hoarder. So anyways, you keep going this direction, and then I will grab these two, as a matter of fact. We're not too far. Oh, there's a big treasure chest here, and this is something I could not find when I was in the pond lab previously, which like I said, because I did record this, and I failed to find the key. And so I looked up where it was. I would never have found this. So I mean, I'm impressed by the people that they found it on their own. If you get up in, there's a jet stream here. This will push you along a little faster, but we're headed over this direction. And you'll see all this crazy lighting and tubing and stuff back here. And just as an FYI, I could have made flippers for this, and I opted not to because I didn't have enough of water boatman fins, and it makes it easier, but it is not strictly necessary. You can do this without the fins. All right, so here's an entire room full of supplies, which I will get at some point, but for now, I need to make sure I get in here in a timely fashion. We're using the biometric scanner to open this door. And here is where we find air. And a lab. Alright, so there is a tape, which I will play when I'm on my way back out one of these times. There's also these are very wordy, but they're different tests, and it's related to cultivating basically Brussels sprouts, Dr. Wendell Tully's version of Brussels sprouts, and this will make more sense when we get to the rest of the pond lab. But I'm not going to read all of those. You can pause it if you want to. It was very kind of technical, and I read it in the last episode when I tried to record it before, and thank God there was a lot of rubber banding because I got tired of reading, and I eventually just stopped. All right, power grid control. We want to turn it on. But you can see none of these breakers are on, and it says error reset breakers. So where we go for the breakers, and I will still grab that tape, I promise. Again, we're ignoring all of this. So you can see this, the pond lab, this is actually like a moon pool. And you can see here that there are 3 breakers and none of them are activated. They are these enormous things. And you just have to spin the dials. And that has activated that breaker, which is breaker... Is that C? No, that's breaker A. There's another one in there. That one's slightly more complicated. Let's go get this one that's back in the corner. And it's often surrounded by the diving bell spiders. Speaking of diving bell spiders, I'm just going to try to ignore them. There's a lot of them back here right now. If you kill them, they do reset your oxygen meter, but I can't be bothered. There we go. We're gonna go refill on oxygen. We've got one more breaker, and it's not precisely easy to get to. If you don't watch your oxygen on this one, especially because there's a couple of things to grab, I got a little distracted, and I did in fact drown when I tried to record this before. It was horrifying, I promise. Remember, panicky when you start running out of oxygen? Yeah, that's me. Alright, so we want to head back out this direction. And basically it's in a section of the lab that has collapsed. So you can't get down through these crevices as best I could tell. So the best way I found to get in... I don't know if there's another way or not, but there is a section that's open right here. It just requires a lot of swimming. And then back in this corner, there's a scabby that draws your attention back here. And then you learn that you can rummage through this guy and take all of his stuff. So one is a journal entry, which we won't read. There was a badge and a suspicious snapshot. And then the breaker is right here. And I think there's something, once you get a tier 2 blade of some sort, you can chop that, and that's like a milk molar back there. Is what it looks like. But let's get out of here since we've only got about half of our oxygen left. We can't go that way, can we? No. Oh, can we get out here? Well, that's slightly easier than the way that I went. Okay, so all the breakers are on, so it's directing me up to the moon pool now. So let's go that way. Okay. So now that we're here, let's see. Oh gosh. I found out that I didn't actually... These guys can be peeped. Alright. The archers, they shoot electricity out at you. Okay. Yes, I do know I never grabbed the tape either, by the way. So here is another one of these hams test. Again, it's related to the growing of the Brussels sprouts, and there's a couple fiber bandages here we'll grab. Just because they can be useful. As a matter of fact, this is a great time to use them. Like I mentioned, we're not currently in combat. And I will grab the tape now, and we will listen to it while we explore a couple other places.
Each member of the Tully family, excepting yours truly, looks at Brussels sprouts, the great cabbage of Belgium, with utter disdain. Within its densely packed leaves, a high-powered nutrient boost in a miniature form factor. And yet mealtime after mealtime, it is recklessly cast aside. Well, more for me. The body knows when it's lacking something. Funny that it doesn't tell the mind why, though. But I have taken the hint, and I'll do those brilliant horticulturalists of Belgium one better. You see, these little morsels are a prime candidate for experimentation in my new submersible multifunction lab. A closed-loop system complete with retractable solar dome. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Dr. Tully, it is almost time for your appointment.
Already? The joys of getting older. Trudy pushed me to go see a doctor after she remarked that I looked like a plate of wet ham. Very well. Mustn't be late and keep Dr. Applebaum waiting.
Okay, so the other thing that I picked up was also about the Brussels sprout thing that he's trying to grow, but he calls them mussel sprouts. All right, I think we go down here now. And we go through the floor. And there's a crate here. And then I think if we don't get stuck on a twig, we go up through the floor on the other side. I hear a diving bell spider. I just mainly wanted to kill him because he was getting on my nerves. Okay. There's some granola bars here and another tape. Let's log in, though. Okay, that activated the pond hatch and the biodome access ramp, but we have to reboot a biodome terminal. Let's listen to this tape.
Dr. Applebaum has pronounced me in perfect health. For a man 20 years my senior, I must face the facts. The gray hairs, the wrinkles, they are not figments of the imagination. I can draw only one reasonable conclusion. It is the elusive fractional errors of the shrinking process which are the cause. Trudy has asked that I discontinue my experiments, but what choice do I have? If I quit now, I will have nothing. What will I be other than a failed inventor and scientist with no discoveries to his name, unable even to teach the basics of physics to a gaggle of hormonal teenagers? No! If this means that I must sacrifice 20 years of my life, then so be it.
So, I have to assume at this point, I don't know enough about the storyline, but I have to assume that that's why they started experimenting on... Oh my gosh. Experimenting on children. Hey, mutate 3 out of 3 for Parry Master. Okay, that goes back to the moon pool. I think that opened this way. Oh no, this just takes us back into the supply room, but this is now open. Is this the door we haven't been through? Oh, there they are. Okay, like I mentioned, this is the perfect time. You can see the fiber bandage is going to be ticking away at my health, and that's pretty awesome. All right, I think I've got, I got some of these koi fish scales we can analyze while we're down here, which, again, like I mentioned, allows me to make koi armor. I think it's mostly used for just being able to swim faster. All right, so we are officially in the biodome. Aha. Quartzite shard. Here is another chest. And another one of these, probably hams. Yep, hams report. Okay, sure. Okay, that's one of the ways we have to go out. And then there's this place up here. These are the mussel sprouts. I will collect those in a minute. But basically, here's the super chip.
Oh, so this is a super chip? Not what I was expecting, but hey, if it gets me home, it gets me home.
Now let's go ahead and activate the computer.
For a guy who believes that his entire life was a big failure, he sure did accomplish some pretty impressive things. Not that I'm letting him off the hook for this whole getting us kidnapped, shrunk, and then left for dead in this yard thing.
That gives us some light to pick the mussel sprouts by rather than wasting my torch. But we're going to go ahead and listen to this while we grab the mussel sprouts.
This time you've gone too far, Wendell Tully. You've done the unthinkable, trespassed the unforgivable. You missed Thanksgiving dinner. Who can blame Trudy? I know that I pushed things to the breaking point and that she has grit her teeth and borne it. She told me that she could not bear to watch me destroy my life, let alone hers, the children's, in single-minded pursuit of this technology. Never in all the years of knowing her has she given me such a cold, immovable ultimatum. My science or my family. But if only she could see. I am doing this for them. I understand it has been hard. It has been harder on no one more than myself. If only I had more time. If I could just prove to them the wonders that are so close now, they would understand, wouldn't they? And if they did not, perhaps they never understood me at all.
Get your science here.
Okay. That's mostly gonna be it for this episode. Basically, this takes you out a different hatch, which makes it easier to get into this place. But the interesting thing is, when I came up through here, I'm very interested to know, there is somewhere around here. I want to know how to get into this place. Ooh. I wonder if it's through here. No, maybe not. I don't know how to get into here. And I want to investigate that at some point, because it looks important. Like it's part of the lab, but not. I'll have to investigate that at some point. And like I said, I will probably have to get the key. Koi fish. I will get the key for that treasure chest probably in the next episode, because I'm running out of time for this one. And there's a koi fish, and I'd like to get on a lily pad. Okay, we're at least up somewhere safe. Anyways, guys, I'm going to thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and comment. Also subscribe so that you get notified of future videos. But for now, my name is Hawk, and this has been Grounded, and I will catch you guys next time.